You are less in control of your own decisions than you think. Not because you're gullible, because your brain runs quiet shortcuts underneath everything you do. Today, 5 of them. Why a crowd changes what you believe. Why you defend choices you secretly regret. Why pressing the button yourself feels like power. Why smart people give terrible directions. And why saying yes to something tiny can talk you into something huge. Let's get into it. You walk down a street with 2 restaurants side by side. One is packed, loud, a line out the door. The other is empty, same menu, same prices, maybe even better food. You don't even think about it. You pick the busy one. This is social proof. When we're unsure what's correct, we look at what other people are doing and copy it, on the assumption that a crowd wouldn't be wrong. It's not laziness, it's a genuine shortcut for uncertainty. For most of human history, going along with the group kept you alive. The crowd usually did know something you didn't, like where the food was or where the danger was. Your brain never updated that instinct for empty restaurants and fake online reviews. So a packed room isn't proof of quality. It's proof that other people already decided, and you're borrowing their decision instead of making your own. Next, why you'll defend a bad decision you already made, just because you made it. You bought a car 2 years ago, it rattles on the highway, the gas mileage is worse than advertised, and yet, ask you about it, and you'll list 5 reasons it was the smart choice. This is choice supportive bias. Once you commit to a decision, your memory quietly edits itself, exaggerating the good and shrinking the bad, so the choice you made looks better in hindsight than it actually was. Your brain doesn't like the discomfort of thinking you chose wrong, so instead of reevaluating honestly, it rewrites the story. The flaws get reframed as quirks, and the upsides get inflated, until the memory barely resembles the decision. So the strength of your memory isn't proof you chose well. Sometimes it's just proof you needed to feel like you did, and that need to feel in control shows up somewhere even stranger, in the buttons you press. At a crosswalk, you press the button and feel a small flicker of control, like you made the light change. In a lot of cities, that button isn't even wired to anything. This is the illusion of control. People consistently overestimate how much influence they actually have over outcomes that are really left to chance, timing, or someone else's system entirely. Taking an action, pressing, choosing, rolling the dice yourself instead of watching someone else do it, makes an outcome feel more controllable, even when your action changed absolutely nothing about the result. So the next time an action makes you feel powerful, ask whether it actually changed anything, or just gave you something to do while you waited. Speaking of things people get wrong without realizing it, here's one that trips up experts specifically. A brilliant engineer tries to explain a simple concept and somehow makes it more confusing than the thing itself. You leave the conversation more lost than when it started. This is the curse of knowledge. Once you know something well, it becomes almost impossible to imagine what it's like not to know it, so experts unconsciously skip the steps that seem obvious to them. Their explanation isn't wrong. It's just missing the scaffolding a beginner actually needs, because that scaffolding disappeared from the expert's own mind the moment it became automatic. So the best teachers aren't always the smartest people in the room. They're the ones who still remember what confusion felt like. And that same blind spot is exactly what makes the last effect on this list so effective on you. Someone asks you to sign a short petition. Harmless. 30 seconds, no big deal. Weeks later, that same person is asking you to donate, volunteer, or show up to an event, and somehow you say yes. This is the foot in the door technique. Agreeing to a small request makes you significantly more likely to agree to a much bigger one later, because saying yes once shifts how you see yourself. After that first yes, you start thinking of yourself as the kind of person who helps, who supports this cause, who says yes to this person. The bigger request isn't really being evaluated on its own, it's being measured against the identity you already agreed to. So watch the tiny asks, not just the big ones. They're rarely about the small thing itself, they're the first domino. 5 ways your mind quietly runs the show: social proof, choice supportive bias, the illusion of control, the curse of knowledge, and the foot in the door technique. None of these make you weak-minded. They make you human, running on shortcuts built for a very different world. If this helped you catch your own brain in the act, subscribe. A new psychology breakdown drops every day.